It's every Red Raiders' favorite podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3.
Hi there. How you going? It's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com with Dr. Mike Gustafson and Clint Scott. I'm Aaron Dickens. We're joining you today until 6 o'clock here on Double T 97.3. We'd love to hear your thoughts, your comments, your gripes, concerns, hopes, dreams, questions. Today in the Yates Flooring Center chat line. You can access that at Double T 97.3.com or through the Double T 97.3 mobile app, brought to you by Happy State Bank. Gentlemen, how's it going? How are y'all doing?
I'm doing good.
Doing good. Not bad for essentially 3 straight days in the Texas tech world. Sky's falling a little bit.
What are you talking about?
Nothing, just some.
What's wrong?
Just some.
Is there something bad going on?
Just some shaking the world, shaking the earth. Basketball transfer portal news.
The
today.
World shaking the earth? Is that what you're going to go with?
Yeah, you know.
We've all been
Some
there.
call
feet
that
are
earth shaking, but go ahead.
Earthquaking, earth shaking, earth
Shaking the earth.
earth taking.
Yeah, the news today, Fardaws Aimaq intends to leave the program. This on the heels of Adam saying on Monday a bit of good news that, hey, he's out of his cast. And now he's in the portal, apparently, or soon to be.
So if we would have just kept him in his cast.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me wonder what the status of that X-ray was. I mean, really was, because if it wasn't anything but glowing news in the original Goodman tweet about February was going to be true, right? You know, because we had all hoped for be ready for TCU, and you know, even if it was very limited, and that doesn't seem to be the picture. It makes me wonder.
Goodman,
the timing's awful odd.
Goodman reporting about 15 minutes ago that, citing a source close to Aimaq, one key reason why Aimaq is transferring is because he feels he's being rushed back too quickly by Mark Adams from injury. So that's apparently Fardaws Aimaq's side of the story. Either way, it's not great. There's really there's no way to look at this. On the surface, clearly it's terrible news. But even if you are inherently glass half full, right, and want to kind of see the positive spin on developments that involve your favorite sports program, there really isn't one here, right? I mean,
no,
unless, and I don't think this is the case, and certainly, if it was, I think Goodman would have reported this. I don't think this is a matter of, hey, I need to get back close to my family because my mom is sick or my girlfriend is pregnant, or one of those type of reasons that is completely independent of the coaching staff, the season that you're having, who else is on the roster, the weather in Lubbock, whatever. I don't think that's the case. So it's either the reason why, that Goodman explained, I feel like I'm being rushed back too quickly. That's bad. He kind of sees the direction of the season through an internal prism and goes, I don't want to blow my last year of eligibility on this, and is leaving. Or he doesn't feel like, he can get minutes over Daniel Baccio, right, when he gets healthy. Or there's some kind of conflict internally, whether it's directly involving Aimaq or he just doesn't like the way that things are run inside the program. I don't know of really any other kind of scenarios, and all of those are bad. All of those are bad. Some of them are worse than others because they would indicate kind of deeper problems with Tech basketball. But either way, at the very best, like the only, like, the most generous kind of benefit of the doubt kind of take on this, you're still losing a key, probably reserve piece before conference play even starts. And it's not like you've been getting a bunch of contributions from your bench anyways.
Right.
And, you've had 2 key players miss games recently. The results on the court have not been great in those 2 games. You have one, but, that's because you're playing Eastern Washington and those type of programs. That won't happen in, January and February and March. So, yeah, it's not great. I think that if you're a Tech basketball fan and you're miffed, frustrated, irritated, disappointed, discouraged, I think those are all very valid feelings right now.
Yeah, I think when you look at who came in the portal and the contributions you're getting from those guys right now, it's minimal. And for whatever reason, but I mean, Kerwin Walton didn't play last night. Against Nichols, it was 2 minutes? 2 minutes and 19 seconds, and then didn't play last night. DeMaurian Williams got the start against Nichols, 17 minutes last night. Played 1 minute. I mean, and that's discounting Davion Harmon, and who ends up being. And I'm not really counting Jalen Tyson in this NIL class or this portal class, even because he was sort of here last year and sitting. But just when we talk about this team, there's this veteran core, and they're leaning on these dudes hard, man. Banner, Tyson, Harmon. We would put Bacho in there. These dudes are getting 30 minutes a game right now, and it's pedal to the metal to win these games. 6-7 points. What was the final last night? Wasn't it 77-70, 7-point game. That and maybe those are just misses in recruiting. I don't know. And that happened. That part does happen, but man, it's when so much of what we hear is about youth, and it's like there's the gap guys. There's the if these portal dudes are stepping in and playing well, there's the fill. There's the bench, whether they're starting and beating other guys out and pushing these other dudes into the bench or whatever. But right now, there's meaningful contributions coming from 5, 6, 7 guys, and this has been Adams has notoriously been a 10-player deep guy, and
it's not like those 5, 6, 7 guys are just so amazingly better and great that you can't take them off the court. More Tech Talk next.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3.
Hey there, it's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com with Gus and Clint. I'm Aaron. Time for some headlines. Red Raider basketball team defeated Eastern Washington last night 77-7. It was tied at halftime. Red Raiders outscored the Eagles 48-41 in the second half to earn the win. It was the program's 27th consecutive win at home. They'll be back in action on Saturday in Houston against Jackson State in the HBCU Coaches versus Racism Round Ball Classic. Some transfer portal news, obviously, as we've been discussing. Fardaws Aimaq planning to enter the transfer portal. Jeff Gooden was the first to report that. Football-wise, San Diego State safety C.J. Baskerville, who has, I believe, 3 years of eligibility remaining, has announced that he intends to join the Red Raider football program. Some exits here in the portal from the football program. Michael Shanahan, offensive lineman. Also, Larry Moore, offensive lineman, and Ethan Card, offensive lineman, have all entered the transfer portal. And then Philip Bliddy as well is leaving. So you're losing 4 linemen there. I think Blitty probably hurts the most, but with Bradford and Hutchings returning, I understand.
And a Data Ray's contribution
why he
as a
might
true freshman, sure.
Try to pursue snaps elsewhere. You too can join the program. We'd love to hear from you on the Yates Flooring Center chat line at doublet973.com. Do you have anything pressing, or can I get to some text here?
Oh, no, get them.
This in the Yates Flooring Center chat line. No more pancakes for the basketball team because they are out of maple. Small Town Raider says, Fardaws isn't worth a damn in my books. Steven asks this, what the heck is going on with the Tech basketball program? It's a great question, and I feel like if you are a Tech basketball fan and you kind of survey the landscape and what all's happened over the last, 8 months, 7 months, TJ Shannon leaves, Kev McCullough leaves, Barrett Peary leaves, the assistant coach, Fardaws gone. I mean, it's fair to kind of wonder if there's a common denominator there.
I don't think that we can. You and I sort of played the game of a game's a strong word, but we've taken the narrative that something at Oklahoma State football doesn't feel right because of starting quarterback, leading tackler, leading rusher, leaving, like, it just doesn't feel right. And now this on top of what you said. Now, there's probably, I mean, it just doesn't feel right, and it's hard to put a finger on it exactly what it is, but it's just the external. We don't know. We can't see process, but we can see that result. It's like that's just not the sign of a bunch of happy dudes, especially since these are guys that were, here that have left, or guys that you brought in. I mean, it doesn't add up. And if this was coming in and cleaning up a mess, then it's too much to call it. This feels like Marlene Stallings level stuff, but where you just see these transfers, like, what's the deal? And in the end, we learned, we came to know what we believe it was the truth there. It can't be a sign of a healthy situation. You want to be attracting things, not repelling things.
Yeah, I mean, it again, I think you and I would both happily and freely admit that we don't know.
Yeah.
That any of these dots are connected, right? But we know that there are a lot of dots, and the fact that there are a lot of dots is a problem. The fact that you lose T.J. Shannon and Kevin McCullough and an odd departure with Barrett Peary.
After 1 year.
Yeah.
And he was brought in as sort of hand-selected,
bizarre.
Yeah.
And now Fardaws Aimaq, kind of the crown jewel of your off-season acquisitions, coupled with Curran Walton, not bleeping a drop for you at all. And then the fact that you're kind of just, again, struggling to put away objectively inferior teams, or at least teams that should be inferior to you. And we all know the buzzsaw that's coming.
Oof.
Right? So this in the Yates Flooring Center chat line, one player leaves and everyone's going crazy, pathetic, trust the process. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's that, though. It's not just one player leaving. And, the last 2 times this team has played basketball, they've looked like crap. Right? They've won the game, which is great. And if you want to give me 20 more wins just like that, I would happily take them. But we all know that's not coming, right? You're not gonna play with your food like that and be able to kind of survive it when you're in Big 12 play.
Really, you could label it 3 games, not even 2, because I know that you had a big lead on Georgetown.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for them
fair.
coming back and making that a game. No excuse.
That's a great point.
That's
that's very fair. And
point.
I'm not sitting here like panicking about you lost to Creighton or you lost to Ohio State. I'm not sweating that at all. Right? I think those are perfectly defensible. You can explain those. I'm not flipping out about any of that. And I didn't at the time. But it's, when you're this, if the Tech football program right, had played 3 non-conference opponents of a similar kind of status as Georgetown, Eastern Washington, and whatever the other one was. I've already forgotten. And Nichols, and they played like that.
Sure.
People would be flipping out.
Well, we did. You and I, but just we, the royal we, Houston Baptist.
We would be flipping out, and no one would be saying, hey, trust the process.
Right. Central Arkansas, Houston Baptist, we did flip out, and you're exactly right. There was there was no trust the process. It was everybody wanting heads, and I am less concerned. I don't want to say I'm not concerned about this team, but just the overall vibe and just the angsty kind of rumor stuff and just the feeling of guys leaving and all that's what concerns me, because one part about it is with these guys, because just as you said, it's easy to go, Fardaws left, okay. And by the way, I've heard good things about him as a good kid and all that stuff, so I hate the connection of just trashing a guy, but whatever, you do you. But not you, but just the world. But I'm more concerned about, okay, what's it going to be like trying to draw in the next round of players, and what's going to happen there? What's their level of excitement? If there's more attrition from this, and there probably will be, probably from the bottom of the roster. I don't know if there is, or just maybe a couple of these guys that aren't super seniors decide to move on, give their G League or international ball steal a shot or whatever, and you're in the portal. What's the chatter? What's the chatter about the portal? And hey, what do you want to go play there? And that's what concerns me, the bigger picture, longer game.
And it's not just the bottom of the roster that we should be worried about portal wise, as we saw last year when you lose, or last offseason you lose McCullough and Shannon. I mean, if things aren't peachy keen, you could see everybody leave.
Yeah,
that's worth a darn. More Tech Talk next.
The podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3.
Hi, how are you? Good afternoon. It's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com with Gus and Clint. I'm Aaron. We're joining you today until 6. Would love to hear your thoughts and comments today on the H Flooring Center chat line at Double T 97.3.com. Thomas the Train says this basketball team is soft. Someone else says this, probably some worried fans just because of the absolute disgusting play on the court, followed by the transfer of Fardaws, who was supposed to be one of our best players, which makes me wonder what's going on inside those walls. Small Town Raider says that Fardaws Aimaq took his money and ran. Somebody else says, I wonder how many Longhorn players are wanting to transfer. This on the chat line from Hal, it seems like the coaching staff is taking this program straight to the iceberg. How long until Kirby sends them packing? This in the chat line. Tuesday, Fardaws is the key to this team. Wednesday, Fardaws is a bum. That's how it goes. This in the chat line from C. Kennedy. Fardaws was supposed to be the big. What a waste of money. This in the chat line. This is going to be a very long season. 3 longs for our basketball team, guys. With our poor recruiting class for next year, I'm beginning to worry about the direction of this program if we start to go south. Someone else says, I wonder why other NCAA D1 schools didn't hire Adams before now. Bobby Hot Dog sent in a photo of the pirate flag helmet stickers that will be on Tech's helmet for the bowl game.
Nice.
Pretty nice. This in the chat line. It's already going south. Have you not been watching? Somebody else says this from Team Money 806. Just 5 days ago, Fardaws posted up soon with a picture of him dunking the ball. This makes no sense.
Well, I mean, I think a key part of the timing here is the cast came off Monday. And,
True.
And we knew that there was pictures getting taken. I think that was their parlance for it. And so how much of this is health related? And you can take the Goodman. I'm sure the Goodman tweet has some accuracy, if not a lot of accuracy, but it was either not glowingly great news or it was, hey, take it slow kind of stuff that Fardaws felt like he was getting pushed. However you want to interpret that, but I think the reason why on Monday he was posting that and on Wednesday he's in the portal has everything to do with the timing of those x-rays.
Yeah, I think it's whether that's the real reason or not, and we have no way of knowing. I think it's interesting that he chose. If it is true, it reflects poorly on Adams, right? Or he thinks it does.
Yeah, the way Goodman, the way Goodman reported it. Yeah.
If that's not the real reason, the fact that he was willing to kind of blame Adams for his departure in that way also isn't great, right? Because I mean, if it was like a scenario where Aimaq is looking at the team going, man, they're having a hard time beating Nichols and Eastern Washington, I don't want to miss the tournament my last year of eligibility or whatever. I'm going to go preserve my year. I've already missed half of it and go find somewhere else to play. He could have just gone like, hey, I wanted to be closer to home or some kind of baloney excuse like that. But instead,
or even played it as, and my foot just doesn't feel right. Could have just played out the injury thing a little bit longer. I don't mean played it out, but leaned on that.
Yeah. Back to the chat line. Somebody says, all the players know that he is not playing. Maybe they quit hearing we will get better when he starts playing. They may start clicking knowing this is their team. Yeah, I mean, I think this is a very kind of generous analysis. I don't think that's it. This on the chat line. Somebody says, I look for Pop to leave. Hope not.
Well, and those are the guys you fear. And again, if you want to back away from spring 2022 and go, all right, what's this thing look like next year? And I think we've learned not to look too far ahead, especially in the sport of basketball. But yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want Pop Isaacs on their roster right now? And it's a pretty small list. There may be some teams that go, we got guys on our roster better than them, but they're top 10 programs or whatever. There's a lot of folks around the country that wouldn't look at him. And, the other one who's got a ton of time ahead of him and probably a lot of upside is Jalen Tyson. Now, he's already been in the portal once, so I don't know how that works. But, yeah, I mean, those are the kind of guys you want to see building a program around.
Isn't that like the crazy part, though, where you're at right now? Because 4 years ago, now granted, I know you're also dealing with what happened last year with who left and right now who just entered the portal. But 4 years ago, if I said, man, you have a young team with a bunch of freshmen that you're excited about, and you're looking at this nucleus, and I mean, you're just licking your chops for when they're juniors, and now you have to look at, okay, well, who's actually going to be here next year? Not just in 3 years, but next year, who's going to be of Washington, of Isaacs, of Fisher, who's going to leave? And that's where you're at right now.
Yep.
This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. The common denominator is that them kids are soft. This in the chat line from Lindale Jeff. Seems like some people never criticize Tech because they're afraid that they'll lose access. I appreciate you guys for telling it like it is. This from Red Raider 806. What's the last day for kids to transfer? I'm getting tired of all the transferring. So in football, the transfer window is a 45-day period in December, January. And then there's a spring period that just lasts for 15 days.
Yeah, like a May 1st to May 15th. Basically allows guys in football to go through spring training, go through the spring semester, get an assessment of where they are on the depth chart, and then move on.
Thomas the Train says the loss of Nadolny speaks volumes as he was one of Adams' biggest supporters and left. This in the chat line, did he not get his NIL money? I assume he did. I mean, he's here.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can't imagine that wouldn't be the case, and that's why I thought was a little bit odd about the timing that he, and maybe there was no pathway if he felt rushed, as Goodman tweeted, then maybe there was no pathway to him being able to, stay here and not play. Coach, I'd rather redshirt and get this foot all the way well. And if he felt like there was no pathway to that, or if he looked around and went, all of my guys are these seniors, these older dudes, they're going to be gone, Yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's probably a lot of layers to this.
More Tech Talk next.
It's every Red Raiders' favorite podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3.
Hey there, how you going? It's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com with Gus and Clint. I'm Aaron. Interesting day in Raiderland, of course, the big story. It seems like we've had one big story every day so far this week, and I think tomorrow we might have another one. I think there's
big news to you and me, isn't it?
It's gigantic news. It would be if it happens. Mack Rhodes, who's the Baylor AD, was on a radio show yesterday, and he was asked about, hey, when's the schedule coming out, man? And he said that, hey, last I heard it was December 15th, and I haven't heard any kind of update that would say that's not happening. So, I think it's mid-December basically. And, tomorrow was December 15th.
Yeah, and that lands with the idea of big releases coming between Tuesday and Thursday. But I think the other thing that dawned on me at some point, isn't tomorrow the day the California Board of Regents meet?
It's today.
Oh, is it? Okay. So that may be coincidental, maybe not, that there could be news about there should be some finality perhaps with the USC UCLA move.
That wouldn't affect next year's schedule.
I wouldn't think so. Other than if you just want to go steal the news cycle.
So hopefully that happens.
Yeah.
Hopefully it happens
great.
before our show.
Yeah.
This is the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Y'all need to chill. Yes, this program has been very good the last handful of years, but it's okay to reload and have a down year if that's the case. Get off y'all's high horses and stop acting like stop acting like we've been an elite team for decades. So I think that is antiquated thinking, frankly. And I'm not trying to be mean, but I think that the game, the sport, the environment has changed so dramatically over the last 3 years that it's taking time for folks to kind of catch up and recognize the new reality. And that is that 10 years ago, you could have a young core and take some lumps, right? And be kind of okay with it on some level because you know that, okay, they're getting their brains beat in right now. They're drinking from a fire hose, all the cliches that you want to drop and throw out there. But they'll be better as a result down the line, right? And we saw that with, Keenan and Zach Smith and Norris Odiase and then you saw it even before that with Mike Singletary and John Roberson and Dwaylen Roberts.
Yeah.
But that's not the way this works anymore, right? Mm-hmm. Because there is nothing standing between Pop Isaac leaving at the end of the season. There's nothing standing, between, Bacho leaving at the end of the season. They're free agents essentially if they want to be, and that goes with every other player in the sport. And so if things aren't going good, and I'm not talking about necessarily winning games, right? If it is not an environment that they want to be in, they'll leave.
And
think nothing else.
That's a great way to say that too.
Right? So it's not about, losing more than you win. It's about, is this thing headed in the right direction? And if you look around, okay, TJ Shennon's gone, Kim McCuller's gone, Peary's gone, Fardaws Aimaq is on the way out, and you're struggling to beat Nichols. I don't think it's some gigantic stretch. I don't think that it's kind of unreasonable for folks to kind of scratch their heads and go, what's going on here?
No, you're right. Like I said, I don't think you and I can play that game with Oklahoma State football.
It would be hypocritical.
Yeah, exactly. To then not flip it around, going, everything's fine here, because the OSU football situation, as you and I talked about it, leading tackler, leading rusher, starting quarterback, all in the portal, and you go, whereas you contrast that with the Tech football portal, and it's got a different feel. Like some guys that played a little bit and appear to have been passed on the depth chart, and not entirely across the board, but not getting gashed by the portal with that roster.
Not one player that's into the portal on the football side had anywhere near the hype or expectations that Aimaq had.
No, that's a great way to say it. And I, this is the frustrating part for me, and it's as a guy who's not embedded with that program or anything else, and I don't have a media pass. I just go to the games and sit there and watch. But as I go, man, we don't get much out of our portal guys. The guys we brought in. I mean, that's just. And when we talk about a shorter roster and no depth on the bench and all, and like, these are guys that have scored for, at a high level elsewhere. And so are they playing poorly? Are they not buying in? What's going on with those guys? And we're talking about Williams and Kerwin Walton and those guys, and just something doesn't feel right there.
Well, and that's, again, like, not that we're looking for reasons to be negative, but again, I think if we're going to be intellectually honest about this, that's a referendum on the program.
Yeah.
Because you recruited them.
Mm-hmm.
Or you didn't,
at the very least.
You didn't inherit them.
Yeah.
This is either, okay, if they're soft and they're pouty and, they want more than they've earned, or whatever kind of negative that you want to suggest that is their problem, those players, even if that is true, even if it is true, they should have sniffed that out.
Right.
Like, that's what they get paid to do. Like, we're bringing players that fit what you do, and fit the culture of your program, and will help you win basketball games. And even if you assign the most kind of nefarious, mean, ugly, negative things to those, to Walton and Williams, and I don't think that's necessarily true.
Right. I don't know.
This is just a purely hypothetical.
Sure.
That still is a bad look.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I'm going with it. It's just, if you missed with all these recruits, and for whatever reasons you want to attribute to it, like, those are misses. And there's going to be normal misses in any recruiting class or any situation like this. Football missed with Briggs. We could go, and I think, Shanahan was in this class too, right?
Sure.
Yeah, and he's already back in the portal. And that's okay. That's going to happen. But to have missed with all of them, for whatever reason you want to attribute to it, is the tough part.
More Tech Talk next.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3.
Hello there. It's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com with Dr. Mike Gustafson and Clint Scott. I'm Aaron Dickens. We're joining you today until 6. We'd love to hear from you on the Yates Flooring Center chat line at T973.com. Rachel says this, Aimaq got to keep his NIL money if he waited until the end of the semester, which was yesterday.
Well, I think that's a specific reference to the money the institution pays, too. What are the scholarships that Tech Athletics pays at the end of each semester for making grades and that kind of stuff? I think the cutoff for that was the 14th.
Well, it also would explain why there were a handful of football players that popped into the portal today. Eric says this, probably thought he wasn't going to see much playing time because of Bacho.
See, I've read that and heard that, and I find that hard to believe on a team that's going about 7 deep right now and as big as he is, whether or not
you can play them both.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, and it sounds like Aimac's game involves some outside shooting and some floor stretching and those kind of things. I'm thinking, I don't think that they were both fives. I'm not saying they couldn't both play fives. But
yeah, Baccio can handle it too.
Yes.
He's not, this isn't Sean Bradley.
Right. No.
Well, and couldn't you have loved a situation where not only those two guys were on the court, but now you have O'Banner being able to stretch out a little bit and use a size advantage on a smaller guy? Like that's not an issue.
You'd have a lot better chance of playing big or playing small. Yeah.
This in the chat line, what do you guys think of the situation? Do y'all think that it's a bad sign of things to come for the program? I don't know that it's like my issue isn't like Aimaq leaving in a vacuum. It's just that, and again, like I said earlier, we don't know if all of these dots are actually connected. But the problem is there are so many dots. There shouldn't be this many dots. And the fact that there are a lot of dots gives me cause for concern.
Yeah, and moving the direction they're moving.
Yeah, plus, your inability to kind of put away Nichols or Eastern Washington. This in the chat line, seems to me the whole throwing jerseys in a trash can and walking out of practice a couple of weeks ago was true. Sounds very dramatic. This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Too many winners on here. Hey, we're a show full of winners. Metalhead says this Colorado's about to send shockwaves through college football. I don't know about that. I mean, unless there is some kind of story that's going to come out that Metalhead is referring to, but this is just kind of about their early recruiting results under Prime. I'm not really surprised by that. I think that what will there's a ceiling on how much kind of recruiting damage he can do this offseason, because so much of that hay is in the proverbial barn. All long-time commits. They've got NIL deals set up already, et cetera. And by the time that, the next class is going to sign, he's going to have games under his belt at Colorado. And, I don't care how well you recruit your first kind of little off season, you're not going to do enough to dramatically change the roster enough to go 9-3, or 10-2. Just not going to happen.
Well, that kind of brings the Kansas question. What is shockwave level for Colorado football right now? Right? Is that a 7-win season? Is that a 6-win season for how it's been? Enough to maybe not putting the nation on notice, but putting the Pac-12 that they're on the rise. They're headed the right direction.
Great question, Clint.
I mean, yeah, I think a 6-win season would do that. Shockwave,
no,
but a sign of you wouldn't say that about a team that went. What were they, 2-10? I mean, they were brutal this year, weren't they?
No, they were 4-8. I mean, they were 4-2 last year or the year before that, the COVID year. Oh wait, no, this is 2021. What were they this year?
I thought they were 1-11 this year, weren't they?
Yeah,
were they really bad?
All right, so they were 1-11 this year, which is terrible. They were 4-8 the year before, 4-2, 5-7, 5-7, 5-7. They won 10 games in 2016. I think I don't want to disrespect the Shawshank Redemption like prison tunnel pipe full of poop that Kansas had to crawl through to get to 6-6 by comparing Colorado to that. I don't know that. It's
true.
Yeah,
it's true.
Leipold's out there in the rain with his shirt off, just kind of looking up, letting the rain rinse off all the filth.
Had to do the whole rock thing. Time it just right.
Yeah. But if they go 6-6 next year, I don't think anybody's going to go, "Oh wow, what a great job."
No, but I would. Yeah, I think we would all be going, "Wow, that's the." In terms of relative to where they are right now, and immediately being able to gin up some more excitement for Coach Prime. It would be a positive. It would definitely be a positive step in that direction, because we spent all summer talking about how irrelevant that program is, and the interesting thought about it though is the idea, who knows if this is right, but if he goes there and it's 6-6 this year and it's 9-3 and 10-2, that the next job is going to be a huge one, because he will have proven himself at the Power 5 level. But it seems like it's a tough road for Colorado.
More Tech Talk next.
The podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3.
Hi there. How you going? Thank you for spending part of your Wednesday with us. Alongside Gus and Clint, I'm Aaron. We'd love to hear from you today. Let us know what is on your mind on the Yates Flooring Center chat line at doublet973.com. All guests appear via the Benchmark Hotline. Bullfighter says, I blame all of this transfer portal stuff on Clint just because he's a jackwagon. Fine with me.
I can take it. Yeah.
This on the chat line, is there a single player left for Mark's first year? I mean, O'Banner.
Yeah.
Right? Tyson
And
was here last year,
technically,
but didn't
yeah.
really play.
Well, and Bacho.
Right? This in the chat line, money was the only reason that Shannon and McCullers left. I don't necessarily agree with that. This on the chat line, we have 2 open scholarships. Can somebody transfer in and play immediately? I think that's possible. There are probably players available that could do that. I don't know that they could really help you.
I mean, I've got some availability.
So, like I was saying,
yeah.
You're a really
Case
good
in
college
point.
hitter, but your jump shot is just terrible, atrocious.
I'm really good at clapping on the bench, Aaron.
Towel waving.
I'm an excellent clapper.
Yeah.
I feel like that my class.
Are you like a thunderclap guy? Really? Legit? Like,
I don't
He's a
know.
one-handed clap again.
oh, wow. That's the most. You know,
The
between
grin
that,
to get to do it.
between that and the little sippy cup thing over here, it's just.
I don't know that
blue, baby.
I don't know that I'm a thunderclapper, right? But I feel like I've got good, consistent tone,
Okay.
right? And,
Step away from the microphone
and
if
reach,
you start
and
demonstrating.
then I'm also not afraid to be the last person clapping. In fact, I kind of.
Oh.
I won that today at our little Raymar event every time.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what that's the game that I play to keep some of these like kid things interesting.
I'm going to confess to, as Brad was wrapping up, our owner was
Fearless
wrapping up.
leader, yeah.
Yep, fearless leader was wrapping up. We're about to start the pink elephant thing or whatever, white Christmas or whatever. The
So close.
the part I know. I think there may be some strains there though. Pink elephant.
No, it's a white elephant.
White elephant.
I know, but I think I just gave you some
Pink
weed
elephant, weed
strains.
strain.
Yeah,
Oh,
there
yeah.
you go.
White
Sorry,
Christmas wheat strain.
struggling. Oh yeah, a little holiday wheat strain.
Hints of peppermint.
But the AMAC transfer thing hit my phone. Just like yeah, Brad, wrap it up. Hey everybody, stop talking. Of course,
May I have your attention, please?
Well, you could tell where the sports table was. 'Cause we're
Exactly.
all just like.
exactly.
I mean, we use words. We didn't just use caveman sounds like I just did.
Right.
But
It was caveman sounds. It was muttered things with everybody showing everybody else their phone. So yeah, it was. It was all respectful, but that did the timing of that hit, and I was like, whoa, I'm distracted here.
my favorite part of that is we're sitting in Gary Ashby's at our table, and he's like, look at all these guys. Everyone just on their phones, and we're all looking up the AMAC stuff.
Yeah, that we showed. Yeah.
This and the Yates.
Coach Ash was waiting for tomorrow's newspaper to get the 6 o'clock news. And I love him. He knows that. If you're tuned in, Coach Ash.
Did y'all hear about Chris Beard? Man, boy howdy.
He actually confessed to listening to our podcast
Hey, how
from
about
yesterday, and he was very complimentary of you.
Oh, wow.
And it was really, he was like, I want to hear what they talked about regarding Leach. And he said, your opening line, which is what Shelley texted in and said, you delivered that very well. Like, was it a prepared statement or whatever? And he complimented that. He goes, he did a very good job on that.
Awesome.
He also said, man, he can clap with one hand really well.
He said, what's that douchey sip cup thing he drinks?
What's he talking about Merlot for?
It's pink.
I appreciate you guys trying to keep me on an even keel. It's like, hey, here's this really nice
Really
thing
nice.
that somebody said about you, and I'm going to drag you back down.
Well, balancing out.
Give it context. There was something there that was really important, and you were complimented there, and then you got trashed on some crap that didn't really matter. So Walk out of here with your head held high, my friend.
I also like you use the word confessed like it was a bad thing.
Yeah.
Well,
To listening to
He
podcasts.
begrudgingly admitted.
Well, the funny thing was McGuire talked about that because McGuire goes, that should be the standard. Gary Ashby was able to find this podcast and listen to it, so you can too.
Yeah,
and that was what was funny at the table. That it's like there it is right there. These podcasts can't be too hard to find because again that was McGuire saying it, but that had the table kind of chuckling, and so that was where the confess part was. He was proud of himself.
This in the H Flooring Center chat line from Tracy in Dallas, who says, "Hey boys, anything newsworthy coming out of Tech's preparations for the bowl game? Injuries, players coming back from injury, etc." So normally, especially this early on, this far out from a bowl game, we're 2 weeks out. It's mostly just young players playing. I mean, you're not going good on good, ones versus ones, and really grinding and going full contact. This is a very kind of casual practice. Relatively speaking,
For the bowl team, for the bowl guys.
yeah. I mean, they're not like going hard in the paint here.
And what you're talking about with the young dudes, and I'm going way back, but the young dudes right now would be maybe the ones going hard. If you saw dudes coming in dirty from practice this time of year, it's the guys that were redshirted this fall, or the true freshmen. The third stringers that are basically participating in early spring training here. And so there was 2 levels of practice going on. One level that's bowl prep for Ole Miss, and as you said, that's pretty casual right now, conditioning and that sort of thing. And the young dudes are getting after it.
Yeah, because it's not like you don't spend all month, installing a game plan and repping that stuff for an opponent. It's much like any other opponent during the season. You install that over the course of a week, right? And so it's very much like a game week scenario, once you get to, in this case, Houston. This in the chat line from Dylan. Just tuned in. Any I feel good about this Fardaws transfer comments? We've not had a single one of those.
I really haven't.
This in the chat line. I don't see how a broken foot can be blamed on Adams. No one is blaming a broken foot on Mark Adams.
No.
This in the chat line. Let's not forget the whole team was about to transfer out under Beard. Someone else says this. This is from Howell. It seems like this all started when the head coach brought his son in to be an assistant coach. Get rid of the son, and I bet you see an improvement in the problem. I mean, McCullough and Shannon were gone before I think Luke Adams was brought on board. I don't know that all of this started when he arrived. This in the chat line, McCullough and Nadolny leaving should have been a clue that something is bubbling under the surface with this program, not pointing fingers at players or coaches, because we really have no idea. But McCullough was Mr. Red Raider, and he left for a conference rival. Something ain't right.
You've been listening to the Tech Talk podcast from Double T 97.3. Check out Double T973.com for more from Lubbock Sports Station.